Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk about the 7.5-inch AR pistol, and I want us to consider if there is a purpose to this, aside from the fact that it's just fun to shoot. Anti-gunners don't want us to have it, and therefore, since they don't want us to have it, this is the thing that we must have. Now, aside from that, is there a purpose to this? Now, the question, if you're new to this whole concept of AR pistols, and you're not aware of the shortcomings, let me summarize it for you. The first shortcoming is, or rather, the first two shortcomings are that this is extremely loud. Okay, to the point where you have to use, a lot of times I have to double up on my ear protection. In fact, I almost always try to double up on ear protection, use plugs and earmuffs, because this is insanely loud, and that's even with the linear, with the linear comp over here that is supposed to send more of the noise downrange. It's still insanely loud. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second problem with this is the muzzle flash. Okay, even with the linear comp, if you are shooting this under like low light conditions, you're gonna basically see a big flash in front of you. Okay, if you shoot it at night, this looks like a flamethrower. Okay, which is it's kind of fun, right? It's fun, but again, now we're talking about is there a practical self-defense, a practical self-defense purpose to this gun? Okay, so first two detriments, really loud. Second detriment, muzzle flash under low light conditions, which especially at night, if you're shooting this, what happens is your reticle disappears, right? It kind of washes out, and also the target that you're shooting at, momentarily disappears. And if you're doing rapid fire, I mean, it's just gonna stay disappeared. Okay, so those are the first two issues. The third issue is the loss of velocity. Okay. Basically, the velocity is cut down significantly, and the muzzle energy drops from about 1,100 foot-pounds of energy to 640 foot-pounds of energy. Right, so you're down to 640 foot-pounds of energy. So that's like a high-end 357 medium 44 Magnum. So you truly are shooting a pistol, right? You're getting pistol power out of this, right? Magnum power, but definitely like handgun power. Okay, so those are the two detriments that usually come up. So is there any benefits to this? Well, legally this is a pistol, okay, and it is covered under my carry permit. Okay, so I can carry this either on my body or in my car loaded. Okay, I can't do that with a rifle. I can't have a rifle in my car loaded, in my state anyway. But this, because it's a pistol, is no different than the pistol that I carry at my belt, so I can carry this loaded. Now, is this carried under your carry permit? If you're, first of all, I don't know what kind of a state you're in. Do you have to have a carry permit? Are you in the constitutional carry state? I don't know that. But if you are in a state where you have to get a carry permit, is this covered? And the answer to that is I don't know. Okay. Now, in my state, in Pennsylvania, I had heard lots of people tell me that this was covered under my carry permit. But you can't just listen to what other people say. So what I did is I have a legal service called U.S. Law Shield. Okay, it's something like $40 up front, and then it's something like about $11 a month, and then you basically, I have a prepaid legal service. So for about $150 a year, I have a lawyer on call. So not only does this cover me if I actually get into a self-defense type of situation where I don't want to talk to the police in any detail, so it helps me if I'm actually in a self-defense type of situation. But I can email them and ask them gun questions. Okay, so one of the questions that I had asked for them was, for example, is it legal for me in my state to carry this Polymer 80 that I built? And I emailed them, even though I kind of knew what the answer was yes. You know what? I have it in writing from them. I have it in writing from a lawyer that it is legal for me to carry. On a different day, I sent them an email. Is it legal for me to keep this AR pistol loaded in my car? And they said, yes, this is covered under my carry permit, and they sent it to me in writing. So if I'm going to choose to, because I saved that email, if I choose to keep this in my car loaded, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to print out the email that I got from that lawyer. So if the question ever does come up, let's say during a traffic stop, and let's not get into, obviously you all know at this point you don't volunteer information, but if for some reason it became known to police that I had an AR pistol with me, and most police don't know the details of gun law, basically I would just, I would keep this paper in my glove compartment. I would ask them if I could access the glove compartment to get the paper, and I would give it to them, and they would read it, and that would probably, unless you've done something wrong or bad, right? Unless you're in any serious trouble, that's usually convincing enough. Okay, so that's one of the ways that I use this prepaid legal service. The other way that I use it is if I'm traveling to a different state. Is this legal for me to take to Ohio? I don't know. Okay, I know Ohio has pretty decent gun laws, but I don't know, and I know I have Pennsylvania and Ohio have reciprocity as far as my handgun, but does that extend to the P80 that I built? Okay, would it extend to this AR pistol? I don't know the answer to that. So if I was traveling to Ohio and I was going to be carrying these guns loaded, I would ask these guys. All right, so it's U.S. Law Shield. Okay, get behind the camera, make sure it's in focus. And here's a promo code. I got a promo code for you guys. So there's the website. The promo code is Pocono Shooting. That gets you some type of a discount. And it changes from month to month. I don't know what it is. There's the phone number, but I think you got to register on the website in order to use the promo code Pocono Shooting. So that's the first thing, right? Getting back on topic. In my state, this is covered under my carry permit. So now I basically have something that has 30-round magazines, okay, and can shoot out to 500 yards. Okay, I did a video, right, where I was at 300 yards. This here AR pistol at 300 yards. This shot a 7-inch group with 77 grain match grade ammo. Okay, so this hit a 7-inch group at 300 yards. At 400 yards, I got 9 out of 10 hits on a man-sized target. Okay, I was at 400 yards, and at 500 yards, I got 7 out of 10 hits on a man-sized target. Okay, again using the ACSS red dot. Right, that's the Holosun 503G ACSS, right, which gives me that fine tip over there, and it gives me a bullet drop, okay, because I was able to use that bullet drop, and I had a 6x magnifier behind this. So that's the other nice thing. You can put a magnifier beyond this, and I can take it on and off as I need to. All right, so if I don't think I'm going to need the magnifier, just take it off. Okay, if it's at night or something, you just take it off. So this gives me a lot of capability in a very compact size. In what is a legal pistol. So for this reason, this is definitely something that I think that you should have as a tool in your toolbox. Okay, I'm not saying that this is the go-to rifle for all situations. In fact, I think even like for like a home defense situation, my go-to is a standard 16-inch AR. Even in moving around in tight quarters, I think that 16-inch is better, right? Even remember, you're not gonna, even in a home defense situation, you're not going to be doing that much room clearing. Most likely, you're going to be, you're going to be in a position of cover or concealment. So you're not going to be doing a whole bunch of moving around with a bunch of guys, like on a stack, one on top of it, one behind the other. So a lot of the concerns that that SWAT teams have with full-size barrels, it's just not going to apply to you. So even in a home defense situation, I prefer to use a 16-inch AR. However, I can't keep a standard 16-inch AR loaded in my truck. Okay, I can keep it unloaded. Where they say where it's not easily accessible. All right, so that's what. I can't keep it unloaded, but this I can keep loaded and accessible because this is a pistol. Okay, so this is a big benefit of this. Okay, so that's the niche that this feels. The niche that this fills. Okay. Now, other question: why use a 5.56? Why not just use a 9mm? Right? Because I've got 9mm AR pistols in 7.5 inches. A couple of reasons. Well, here's the thing: the one of the good things about using a 9mm AR for that situation is you don't have to deal with that excess noise. You don't have to deal with that muzzle flash. Okay, so it takes care of those two issues. Now, as far as the power, okay, like I said, this gets 640 foot-pounds, whereas the 9mm in the 7.5 inch barrel gets 400 foot-pounds. Okay, so with this you get an extra an extra 240 foot-pounds, and if I was just judging this on power alone, hey, you know what? I think 400 foot-pounds is enough. Okay, I think that the benefits of having a quieter gun and no muzzle flash outweigh the extra 240 foot-pounds that you get out of this. So if I was just judging this on power, I would go with the 9mm, 7.5 inch AR pistol. The problem with the 9mm 7.5 inch pistol is, number one, reliability. Okay, this is based on a mil-spec military design. Okay, obviously the whole thing is a mil-spec, the barrel, the stock, the buffer weight, all that's nice. But the internals of this, are pretty mil-spec, so it's pretty standard. So that's the first benefit that this has going for it, and I think that that's the reason why these tend to be a lot more reliable. Now, they're not as reliable as as carbine length. Okay, carbines. I mean, not that these aren't reliable. This one's extremely reliable. But if you have, let's say, a sampling of 1,000, right, across any manufacturer, right, whether it doesn't matter what the manufacturer is, doesn't even matter what the what type of a gun is, right? It doesn't matter, So if you take a sampling, whether it's Glocks or SIGs or whatever, some big name AR manufacturer, out of 1,000 ARs or 2,000 or 5,000 out of a sampling, you're gonna have some error rate. Okay, I mean it's just gonna happen. Right? It's just natural. There's gonna be some error rate, even with Glocks. Okay, I've even heard of Glocks, which are usually very reliable. I mean, I have heard of them having issues like right out of the box. A very small, tiny minority, but it does happen. So, going back to what I was saying, if you have, let's say, 1,000 of these 7.5 inch AR pistols, okay, you're gonna have a higher error rate, right, or malfunction rate than, let's say, your standard, more standard rather, 16-inch AR. Okay, so likewise, if you throw into that 9mm ARs, right, I think you're gonna have a higher error rate with those, right? So one of the issues that I see from time to time with 9mm ARs is because of the blowback system is so fast and violent. A lot of times the hammer doesn't reset. Okay, not a lot, but so that's just a matter of finding the right buffer weight. So that's a matter of fine tuning it. But the thing is that the reason why I'm able to, and I did have one that I had to, I had to kind of fiddle with to get working right. But the thing is, if you don't have the opportunity to shoot it a lot, like I do every day, under not only just shoot it every day, but also under different weather conditions. I shoot it when it's 9 degrees. I shoot it when it's like -10 degrees. Shoot it when it's raining. Shoot it when it's snowing. Shoot it when it's dry. If you don't have the ability to test it under all weather conditions, you cannot be 100% of its 100% sure of its reliability. So that's why I really like this, like, standard 16-inch, as close to mil-spec as possible AR-15s. You're gonna find that you're gonna have the least amount of problems with them when you're looking at, let's say, a sampling of let's say whatever 1,000 or 5,000 ARs. Okay, when you get to the pistols, the AR pistols, I mean, the error rate will go up slightly because now you're further away from mil-spec and from having that high level of police and military testing on the different environments. Okay, when you get to the 9mm ARs, that error rate goes up even much higher. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I would prefer having a 7.5-inch AR pistol that shoots 5.56. That's as close to mil-spec as possible and still stay within the size that I'm trying to stay. Okay, so that's the issue with the 9mm ARs. If you sample enough of them, you're gonna find that you're gonna have some issues. If you do enough shooting on enough of them, there's gonna be a sampling that's gonna have problems. Which is not, I mean, listen, I have a lot of them, right? Which is not to say that it's not a good AR. Certainly for practice. The great thing about 9mm ARs is I can shoot the steel targets up close. So it's a great practice gun. But as far as for self-defense, you want that 5.56. Now, the other benefit of the 5.56 in an AR, even if it's 7.5 inches, is the fact that, like I said, I have shot 7 inches, 7-inch group with this at 300 yards. 400 yards, I got 9 out of 10, and 500 yards, I got 7 out of 10 on a man-sized target. So the benefit of this is you have that reach. You're able to shoot the distance that you cannot shoot with pistol calibers. Okay, so that's another benefit to this. Now, aside from that, aside from the fact that you can keep this in your truck legally under a carry permit in many states, the other thing with this is that if I have a long coat, I could put this strap underneath the coat, and this will, obviously this is not a long coat. This is a short sweater, but you can see how this is very hideable, especially if you collapse this. Actually, let's just do it. Let's take this thing off and see what it looks like. Take that off. So this is now, we're talking about a situation where, let's say you have riots going around town for a couple of weeks already, right? So you're maybe you've stocked up on baby formula, but it's starting to get low, right? So your baby formula is starting to get low, and now you have to go out. Actually, the way I like to carry this, I like to run my right arm through this. If I'm going to be carrying this under my jacket. The reason why that is because now I can sling it around to the side over here. So let's bring this to the front. So if you got a long coat that comes down to your knees, like I typically wear, like I wear a lot in the winter time, right? You can shorten this up. Now, obviously, this needs to come up a little bit higher, which I'm not going to fill around with too much right now. But you can see how, if you get this to come up high enough, if you get this to sit right there with a longer coat, this is concealable. So if you ran out of baby formula, right, and there's riots going on around town, maybe you need to go out. Maybe you don't quite feel that a pistol is enough, right? You want to have a little bit more. You don't want to go in there with a rifle strapped on your back, because the guy behind the counter is going to freak out and he's just going to run. He's going to leave the store, and now you can't pay for your baby formula. And what are you going to do? Now you're going to take the baby formula without paying for it. Now you're part of the rioters, right? Now you're stealing. Now you're looting. Okay, so you don't want the guy behind the counter to get freaked out. So this is something that you can wear under a long coat. Cover it up, go into the store, get what you need, and leave. And meanwhile you've got some real firepower if you've got an issue when you get back outside. Okay. So again, these are all we're kind of we're digging in there, right? We're trying to find the benefit, right? The niche for the 7.5 AR pistol. Where does this fit in? What roles does this fit into that other guns don't have? And number one, it's in many states it's covered by your carry permit, so you can keep it either in your car or on your person loaded. It's small enough, sure enough, compact that with a large jacket, long coat, you can conceal this. Okay. The benefit that this has over pistol caliber carbines, right, PCCs, is that you've got a gun here that can actually shoot out to 500 yards. Now you got to be using the right ammunition. I was using 77 grain Sierra Matchkins, match grade ammo to get out to 500 yards and get 7 out of 10 hits on a man-sized target. But it's doable, right? And even if you don't have match grade ammo, you'll still get out to 300 yards. Okay, so you can't. I have shot a 9mm out to 300 yards. The issue that I had with the 9mm is first I was only able to do it once, okay? And the main issue I had was the holdover, right? Because with the 9mm, because it's going so much slower, your holdover has to be a lot more. What I found is that you got to have a 65 MOA circle. I think I used a 20 yard zero, and what happened is it was a 2 MOA dot with a 65 MOA circle, and what I did is I held the bottom of the 65 MOA circle to the top of the target, and that's how I was able to drop my bullets on the target at 300 yards. And it was still a very wide group, but I was able to get there once. The second time, the second time I tried it, I wasn't able to get any hits on it. The wind might have been blowing them off the target. And with the 9mm, it's going a lot slower, so if there's any wind, it's going to affect the bullet a lot more. But with this, no issue at all getting out to 300 yards, 400 yards, and even 500 yards, because you still got a pretty fast moving bullet, still delivering 640 foot-pounds of energy. Now let's talk about penetration for a second. Let me put this gun down for a second. And I did a video earlier about the penetration of this gun. A lot of people say that in order for the 5.56 to be fully effective, it's got to be going like close to that 3,000 feet per second. And what happens is with this, it's going at half that speed, right? Or not half, like, I don't know, maybe 2,000 feet per second. I don't remember it exactly, but I mean, the energy I calculated was 640 foot-pounds, so you can back that out if you want to get to the actual feet per second. But anyway, I did a. Let me take you guys. You see these barrels over here? I did a test earlier. I've got 3 barrels lined up about 15 feet apart, and the skin on these barrels is pretty thin. You can shoot this with a 22, and the 22 out of a pistol will penetrate both sides of the barrel. It will go in and out the back, and of course the bullet will deform and all that, but you will get penetration. So what I did is when I shot this, right, even though this is thin skin, when I shot it with the 7.5-inch AR with the 223, I got a nice neat hole through the front. And then what it did is it keyholed out the back. So even though this is within that short distance of whatever, I think the width of that barrel is, I don't know, maybe about 15 inches thick, within, or maybe 20 inches thick, whatever, wide, right? Within that short distance over there, the bullets started turning. All right, let me take you up to the barrel over there to take a quick look at it. Okay, so this is out of this rifle here. I just shot this earlier. Okay, and you can see the new holes, right? Right. So first I shot these holes down here, and then I did a second group where I shot these holes up here, and you can see when it came out the back over here, right? You can see how even in this short distance, I think it's about 20 inches going across. It doesn't matter that much, but within that short distance, you can see how they keep holing out. Okay, so what's going to happen is when these bullets enter the body, okay, they're going to do damage in a different way than is normally done than let's say a 5.56 going at full speed, right, at that 3,000 feet per second. The damage that it's going to do is because this is going slower, it's going to destabilize, it's going to start turning, and it's going to keyhole through and do lots of damage that way. Okay, so 15 feet further back over here, I had a second barrel because the space between barriers counts, and you can see the holes, right? You see how look at the size of the holes that are made. Okay, there you go over here. Look at the size of the holes. Okay, you can tell the new holes from the old holes that I tested a few years ago. All right, down here, right? Actually, didn't even penetrate there, but it hit it pretty hard. That's probably because it was off to the side. But you can see the size of the holes because it's keyholing, so that's going to do a lot of damage. And then it came through on this side, the second barrel. Now it's really starting to slow down. Like this one over here, that didn't even penetrate; it just dented it really hard. But as it slows down, you can see how. Oops, there it is. As the bullet slows down, it actually does more damage because it's going slower and it's turning, like it's and it's coming and it's doing lots of. Here, you see it down here. So you're seeing very nasty damage consistently. So it went through those 2 barrels. On the 3rd barrel over here, I did manage to get some hits, but it had already, by that point, it had lost so much power that it's just denting. It's not penetrating the barrel. And again, this is very thin skin. You can shoot that with a 22. Now, when I shot this with a 16-inch AR, what happened was they came through. I did have tumbling on the 2nd barrel, but I did have penetration on the 3rd one. Didn't make it out the 3rd one. I was able to recover bullet fragments in there. Okay, so you know, the space between barriers counts. That's something a lot of times when people do testing, that's not something that they take into consideration. But when you start taking the space between barriers into account, and also the slowing down of the bullet and how it starts turning over as it starts slowing down, you start getting lots of damage for that reason, because it is slowing down and turning over. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. But here on this barrel over here, you can see, like the first one, you can see even on the first barrel how they came through. So those are my thoughts on the niche, you know, the place for this the 7.5-inch AR. Right, and again, there's that legal service. Definitely recommend it. You should definitely have a prepaid lawyer. You guys all know that you're not supposed to talk to the police if you ever get into any trouble, even if it's something simple like your concealed carry became exposed. You don't want to get into a discussion about that, right? You want to have a lawyer on call so you can have them talk to the police for you. All right, I'll talk to you all soon. Drop some comments below.